Kidding? Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rotten Views Podcast. Hopefully you guys are all having a great night or evening or afternoon, depending on whenever you're listening to this podcast. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been sharing the podcast and leaving comments and reviews. Keep up the great work, guys. I appreciate it a lot. And, just share it to everyone. Share it to your mom, your dad, your siblings, your ex, whoever, kids at school, kids at workplace. I don't know why I said kids at the workplace. Co-workers. I'm sure co-workers would love it. Probably not. Who knows? I don't really know what other people like. I barely know what I like half the time. That's why I'm switching up the podcasts I listen to on the daily almost. There's way too many podcasts to listen to at once, and I guess that's a good thing to have. Could be worse, right? But yeah, you're here for episode 129, where we're going to talk about a basketball movie, which is weird. After I actually watched this, I'm like, I should have did like a month sports movies related, like a kid did Mighty Ducks and other fun stuff like that. But no, just a random movie picked out and starring Nick Nolte and Shaquille O'Neal of all people. It's called Blue Chips from 1994. But we'll get into that shortly. I just want to say thank you again to everyone who's been checking out the YouTube page. We are back up posting on TikTok. We're working out the bug for going on Twitch. I want to do some retro games on Twitch and also some art streams. We're also going to do some of those on YouTube as well. I have a bigger fan base on YouTube than Twitch, but then again, I didn't put much effort into Twitch, but we're going to do the whole thing over overlays and emotes and all that kind of fun stuff before we get going on that. So that it's a process, and it's going to be a fun process. But yeah, I got some little designs. I'm going to do like a little character switch up for my Twitch and YouTube. It's still going to be kind of the same guy, but I want to do kind of like cartoon reviews and stuff like that as well. And there's some styles I enjoy and I want to do. I feel like having an icon for that's a character that has an actual face, because if you guys haven't noticed, my character on Twitch and YouTube is literally a person that has their face ripped off and you just see the muscle tone and everything beneath it. It's just a cool concept I came up with on the fly, but we're going to switch it up a little bit. I think it's been a little bit long enough. We'll give this guy a face and some other cartoon aspects. Maybe he'll venture into the comic book aspect or webtoons or something along those lines, because I do have an animation program now. Am I going to have time to work on it? Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, we will have some digital artwork coming out as soon as well. Not sure when. I'm still working on the bugs. I got a new tablet now, so I just got to figure out all the brush and the pressures and everything like that. Because when it comes to that kind of tablet stuff, I'm stupid. I'm stupid about a lot of things, actually, to be honest with you. But that's besides the point. We're going to figure it all out, though. It's a fun little process. But you guys are here to listen to me talk about this random basketball movie for whatever reason, and I appreciate that. So we're going to get right into the movie. It's from 1994. It's a sports drama for an hour and 48 minutes. It's got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 37% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 54% on Metacritic. 73% of Google users like this film. Came out on February 18th, 1994. Director is William Friedkin. I didn't look him up at all because I'm really good like that. But on IMDb, he's best known for The Exorcist. Wow, I didn't know that. That's general shock. From 1973, he's also To Live and Die in L.A., The French Connection, and Killer Joe from 2011. I believe that was a Matthew McConaughey movie. I think I've seen it once. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. The box office was apparently $26 million, and it's distributed by Paramount Pictures. And like I said, you got Shaq. You got some other, I think, basketball players in here as well that I don't really pay much attention to. But someone who I was very intrigued by, who I saw on the intro credits, which I was very excited because this is my first time actually ever watching this. They also have Ed O'Neill in this, which is really amazing, and I thought it was going to be awesome. I thought he was going to be a more starring character. He's in only a couple scenes, to be honest with you. But he's from Married with Children, Al Bundy, of course. So that was pretty cool. I enjoy him a lot as an actor, and I'm always searching out movies with him in them, because apparently he was a pretty good actor when he was younger, and he's in an episode of Miami Vice as well, which is crazy. But the quick synopsis from IMDb: a college basketball coach is forced to break the rules in order to get players he needs to be competitive. Pretty right on the nose there. Nothing too amazing on that one. Yeah, like, main cast is Nick Nolte, then his ex-wife Mary McDonald. You got Ed O'Neill. You got JT Walsh as Happy because he's an asshole, and then you got Shaq and some basketball players. Apparently, on the trivia for IMDb, and the scene where Bob Cousy shoots baskets, that's one of the like head ups on the team, or like the owners. He was told to just keep shooting them as he talks to Nick Nolte, regardless of whether the baskets went in or not. But Cousy never missed, prompting Nolte to ad-lib his reaction, which is also really awesome because the guy is fucking great shooting free throws. Apparently, there's a goof. Apparently, the Algiers, Louisiana area was portrayed as being a rural setting, and it's actually an urban neighborhood in the 15th ward of New Orleans, so I'm not sure why they didn't do the research better on that one, but it is what it is.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight...
Any questions, stupid or otherwise? All right, Alan?
Yeah, Coach, we'd like to hear your side of the basketball kicking incident.
Alan, you used up your question. That was stupid.
I will not have the first losing season in 40 years at this university.
You are not getting the kind of athletes that we used to.
Yeah, but the program's clean, Chancellor.
It is time to tell Coach Petey Bell to take a hike.
I don't do well with losing, do I?
You've won 2 national championships. You've won 8 conference titles. I don't call this losing.
What efforts are you and your staff making as far as recruiting is concerned?
We got the inside track on some great ball players this year. You get those guys, you are in the Final Four next year. Let's get these guys.
He's never been coached. He's totally raw.
Neon, please try not to step on the children.
Okay, all right. If I couldn't play basketball, would you be trying to get me in college?
No.
At least you're honest.
I figure a white blue chip athlete like myself deserves something extra, about 30 grand. Like to have it in cash.
Get the hell out of here, Ricky. Get out of here.
All the other schools are doing it, Coach.
I know everything. I know what Butch McRae's mother wants.
You really want your son to start out life by learning how to bend and break the rules? I mean, what's he gonna become? A millionaire?
I did not authorize a car for Ricky, but you did authorize the friends of the program to do what had to be done.
He bought him, Charlie. I know he bought him.
We're gonna be on top again.
Did you cheat?
Foul is not a foul unless the referee blows his whistle.
Did you take money?
No.
We owe them this money.
Don't talk to me about money. We owe it to them.
We're going to get right into the movie, of course. It's a Paramount picture. Start out in the locker room as the intro credits start to roll, and pissed off Nick Nolte Pete walks in, who's yelling at his team because they suck. They literally suck. There's nothing else to go on about, but they suck. He calls them dumbasses, and he says they're pretty much the dumbest team he's ever coached. He tells them to think of something, and then he walks away pissed off and slams the door, and then he comes right back in, slams the door again. He's like, I'm trying not to cry because I'm really stressed out. I really want you guys to do well. I'm a good coach, and I know what I'm doing, but you guys just suck so much. He's like, if you guys are just going to half-ass this game, then you're never going to get the win. And you can half-ass life, but you're never going to get that real win that you really want. Then we cut to the crowd and the school band playing as the intro credits continue, and we see the cheerleaders doing their whole, skit on the basketball court and doing their whole fancy routine. Then we see Pete coming out onto the court, and we hear reporters saying this is going to be his first losing season for him. And they're, kicking the horse while he's down, essentially. And then we see none other than Ed O'Neill. I forget what character. He's a reporter of some sort. He's playing, actually, I forgot. He's playing Ed. That's great script writing and character choices. Just playing himself, essentially. He's in the stands watching the games. He's taking notes. I didn't know if he was like a scout of some sort or not, but we later on find out. He looks very disappointed. as he's taking notes, but yeah, he's a reporter. P is getting pissed off because the ref, for some reason, just keep calling fouls on them, and they never call fouls on the other teams by the looks of it. And the other coach is like, yeah, you guys are doing a great job, refs. Keep it up. Keep up the good job. Keep calling those fouls on the other team because they suck. Then we see Pete looking down, stressed out as the team is, shooting like crap. And it's just the other team scoring shot after shot after shot, just on repeat, and on repeat. At one point, he puts a towel over his head so no one can see him, and then the refs call what he thinks is a bad call. So then he starts yelling at the ref for the call they made, and then he kicks the basketball and goes into the crowd. And then the ref's like, you're ejected, get out of here. I'm done dealing with your crap, get out of here. Then we see Pete talking to a member of the management team, saying if the team keeps playing the way they are, they're going to be out of a job. It's the guy who's shooting the basketballs later on. Also, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of this podcast. If you guys haven't watched this movie and you don't want spoilers, you're going to get spoiled by listening to this podcast. So if you want to find it somewhere, I'm not sure where it's streaming. But yeah, if you guys want to find it somewhere, you can definitely pause this podcast and then come back later. If not, just keep listening and, listen to all the spoilers, because there's going to be spoilers free out, because I talked about the movie from start to finish and miss a few things in between, but for the most part, I hit the main points. Anyways, back to it. And then we see Pete at this conference area with the reporters after the game, and they're asking him questions, and then we find out Ed is asking about the point shaving from the previous year, which led Pete be kicked off on their team or something. I'm not really sure the whole thing, but apparently they're point shaving, and that's a big no-no. I don't know, basketball terms and shit. But then Pete gets all pissed off and walks off. He's like, I'm tired of your same questions every single year, Ed. You're dumb. Then we see Pete coming home, maybe. I'm not sure if it's home. But he's meeting at this random girl's house, which we find out later on in the movie is Jenny, his ex-wife. Apparently Jenny records all of his games too and keeps them on VHS, because that's the era of this movie. If you don't know what VHS is, kids, please go Google it. I know I say that all the time, but no, just go look it up. Then Pete tells her about Ed, the reporter, and then he goes on about being stressed about how he can't handle his, first losing season. He's been this great coach and coached a bunch of great teams, and just the stress of having your first losing season is getting to him. Then Jay's going on about how he's a great coach and listing off all his achievements and stuff, and he's asking to stay the night, and she's like, no, you're not staying the night. Then we see him walking home to the Driftwood Apartments, I believe it's called, where he gets inside, turns on TV, and of course the reporter is talking about Pete and how he's on his first step for a losing season, and there's nothing they can do about it, essentially, because the team sucks. Then the next day we see him in the gym working with his team, trying to get them in some sort of playing shape, because they don't really play well together as a team by the looks of it. Then Pete pulls Tony, his best player, out of line. He's like, you're looking down, is everything okay? And we find out he's failing class, and he, Pete's a good coach, because he's like, I'm going to get you set up with a tutor, and then he's like, also go get some condoms so you don't have another pregnancy scare with the random girls that you're screwing around with, because we don't need that crap and it's holding you back. Then we see Pete and one of the heads-ups shooting hoop after hours to try and come up with a plan to make their team a little bit better, because originally it was, they were like the best team, and the kids would come to them because they want to be on their team, and now it's to the point where the kids don't come around at all, so they actually have to start scouting talent instead of it being the other way around. And then this is where I also mentioned, the head up guy, he doesn't miss a single shot at all. He's just shooting balls, left-handed, right-handed, doesn't matter. He's shooting them, and the fact that it's ad-libbed by Nick Nolte, really amazing. And then it's game day, and Pete draws a giant heart on the whiteboard and tells them, what is this? This is what you guys need. You guys need heart out there. You need to fight with all your heart. Please give me a goddamn win, please. And then we see the score at one point is 30-39 at the end of the half. Then the next thing we know, we see the score is 56-73, and then the catch up a little bit goes up to 66-86, and then we see the game slipping away as Pete is stressing out on the sidelines, and of course he loses yet again another game. We see Pete going into the locker room saying thanks to the team for a good season, and says they aren't losers. And then once he's meeting with the head ups, he's like, we got a bunch of losers and they don't know how to play basketball, and we need to make a change or we're not going to get anywhere, essentially. Then they decided to sit down and make the call to try and get the kids to play for their team. So this is where they're finally sitting down to say, we actually got to start going out and scouting talent and not just expecting talent to come play for us, because we're not doing that great, so no one's actually going to want to come to us. So we got to make it the effort to go to them to try and reel them in. Then we see them going through a list of players they want to get on the team for the new season. And then they had 8 players, but then they drafted it down to 2 players, and they're focusing on these main 2 players to get, because if they can get these main 2 players, then their season's going to be a lot better. We see Pete driving to a school to watch a high school game, I believe it is, and watch one of his players he wants to recruit, and then he sees there's a bunch of other school scouts there as well watching him play, and he goes to mingle with them, conversate, because apparently he's really good at being a scout, because they're kind of a little bit nervous, like, oh crap, you're here, kind of, essentially, even though they have the worst team in the league at this point in time. Then we see them all in the office. I believe it's either the principal or maybe like the coach's office, and he comes out to talk up his student. He's like, who's going to give me some money? Get in here to talk first. You get my kid. He's really good. He's a great shot. He's be great on your team. Any bids? And then he just calls in Pete, because apparently him and Pete are friends, because the principal, I'm going to call him the principal, he actually knows Tony that is on Pete's team, and I'm not sure if it's his dad or not, but he's like, if he fails his grades, I love him to death, but he's a dumbass. That's when principal also lets Pete know that this kid that they're after, I forget his name, his mom actually wants people to pay her just to go talk to her son, because she's trying to get as much money out of this whole situation as possible, because she seems like a bit. We see Pete showing up to this ghetto area where he's meeting Butch, that's the kid's name, and his mom and the entire family actually, and he's trying to convince Butch to come play with his team. And that's when Butch is like, the school's a little far away, I'm going to kind of miss my parents, I'm not really sure if I even want to play for the college or whatnot. That's when also Pete mentioned something about how there's good grades at the school, and that's when the mom's like, oh, so do athletes just get a passing grade? Do they not actually have to work for what they're doing? And then Pete sets up this mock-up basketball scenario for the whole family to play in together, and I guess to try and get brownie points to make his school and his mood and atmosphere to seem a little bit more approachable and better. We now see I think it's somewhere French Link, Indiana. He's going to talk to his next scout, who lives in this tiny ass, what looks to be like hillbilly kind of home. He's sitting down even at the family dinner to sit with them to go over plans, and he mentioned I forget this one, Ricky, I think is his name. He's like, I don't even know if I want to go to college, I just want to be where the girls are, essentially. And then that's when the dad also mentions that he hopes for one day for Ricky to take over the farm, and the kids is like, I don't want to do that at all. Then we see Pete and Rick's dad talking about stuff, and the dad keeps saying how every coach has come to scout his son has offered something, and at one point he mentions that he's been offered a new tractor, because that's the thing that he said that he needs the most is a new tractor. And it pretty much comes down to being like, yeah, I got a coach who's already offering me a tractor for my son to go to his college, so I'm going to probably take that tractor in that deal, even if my son doesn't say he wants to go there. Also, I thought it was funny because I had to pause at one point in time, and the dad is also Bobby from Supernatural, Jim Beavers, which I thought was cool. I haven't seen him in any older movies, so I thought it was really interesting. Big Supernatural fan myself, actually. Then the dad says he wants his son to be in a church-going, loving school, and that's when Nick Nolte says, or Pete says, he's like Baptist, First Baptist or something. I don't know. I'm not religious at all. He's like, well, it's good you're not the other one, because we don't take fine to those people around here in these parts. Like, oh God. Then we see this full American redneck parade with tractors and all, and we see Larry Bird in the parade with Ricky, and then we also see Pete there as well, and all the other scouts are like, God damn it, he's got him too. And then we see Pete stopping at a spot, and he meets up with this guy called Slick, I believe, who had a secret weapon for the coach to sign, and he's in Louisiana, and this guy was in the military, and he's never been coached. He's not smart, to be honest with you. Then we see them making their way through the woods, and Pete is pissed off, yelling at Slick. He's like, this guy better pay off, because I'm traveling on foot through the woods, and I haven't seen civilization at all, and you're really getting on my nerves now. Then the two of them are sweating buckets, and they go into this building and watch a bunch of people play basketball. And the secret weapon, who's not very intelligent, is actually Shaquille O'Neal. This looks like he's no brain surgeon. He even messed up his name on the SATs, so he's not very smart. He only got a 400 or whatever on it. Then we see Pete and Shaq walking down the street talking things over, and they stop at this church, and Pete starts dancing inside of it because he's a very Christian person. And then we see Pete walking his 3 picks around the college, trying to convince them all to come to their school. Then they make it to this dark basketball court, where in the middle is just a halo light going down on it, and they all walk into it, and they hear the announcer announcing each one of them individually and their aspects and all that kind of stuff, and trying to give them a feel of what the school is going to be like. And we find out Shaq's name in the movie is Neon, which I thought was interesting, I guess. Then we see Pete meeting up with his ex She's also like a school teacher or a daycare teacher or something. And he brings Neon with him to try and help him because apparently she's a good tutor, and he feels like his ex-wife is going to be able to help Neon get the passing grades that he needs to actually be a member on the sports team, which makes sense because apparently he's got very, very low numbers. So then Pete and his ex-wife go to talk off while Neon's playing with the kids, and Jenny's like, just be careful not to step on any of the kids, okay? You got really big feet and stuff. Just don't hurt anyone, please. And then Pete is there to try and help Neon get his school scores up so he can be a part of the team, like I said. And then she agrees to it, and then Pete goes to kiss her, and he's like, nah, I don't want any of that. Get back. Then we see Pete being introduced to 2 Dolphins fans, because that's the school's name, and they're brought over by Happy, and they're, bimbos, essentially. Blonde girls with big boobs that are just flashing them all over the place. And we see Pete's not very happy to meet Happy or to be talking to Happy. They're great names in this movie. God. Then he goes to leave the bar, and then Happy follows him and starts listing off the recruits that Pete's trying to land. And he's just being a dick. He's got a lot of money, so he knows everything that's going on, and that really pisses Pete off because he doesn't like the type of guy he is, because he's a slime ball. And then he's going on about how much money he has and how his money can help them pretty much score anyone they want to be on their team, or any sports team to be exact, because they have so much money to just get everything. Then we see Neon working with Jenny. She's asking him questions, he's answering all these stuff. He gets kind of a little insulted because it's a really easy question. He's like, I failed the SATs on purpose. And that's when they make a bet that she's like, I bet you can't get like 700 on the SATs. He's like, give me $150 and I'll get that 700 plus some. And then we see Pete watching his team as they have a friendly game together to test themselves. And then we see the coach sitting in the staffing area looking over this video to try and get, plans as to what they're going to do when the next team comes up against them. And then, of course, Ricky comes in. And he mentions how he wants to stay with the team and everything. And he's like, now we just got to work out some business because I'm a really good player and I've already been offered this. So I think if you guys can match it, I'll definitely play for you guys. $30,000 and I'll be on your team. And then everyone's kind of dumbfounded that he's actually asking for extra money under the table. And he's like, yeah, just put in one of your duffel bags and just make it show up. It's fine. I know you guys can get it. I wish, man. Anyways, that pisses Pete off. He pretty much tells him to get out and take the uniform off because he doesn't want to deal with him now. We see Pete showing up at this big fancy house to come to find out it's Happy who was pissing him off at the bar essentially. And we see Ricky's dad then getting a fancy new John Deere tractor. Butch or whatever the other guy's name is, he's getting his mom's getting a new house and a new job and a bunch of new furniture. And then the random guy just drops off a new Lexus for Neon. He's like, I didn't want this. The guy's like, hey, I'm just a delivery guy, I don't know anything about it, just take the car please. And then of course the last thing we see is actually Ricky getting a package, which is just a duffel bag which has some newspapers inside of it and then a whole shitload of money. And then we see Ed getting a report from the office where he knows that Pete is buying off new recruits, or he's claiming that Pete's doing it. And there's a bunch of pictures that they have, security pictures, and it's like the guy bringing Neon the car, and then a bunch of other pictures. And then we cut to see Neon coming into the office where Nick Nolte or Pete just gets out of the shower for some reason, and Jenny's coming in too. And apparently Neon scored a 969 on his SATs because he actually tried for once. And then we see the guys all in class, and Ricky is going crazy. He's kind of just bored. He doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care about schoolwork. He's literally just staring at a girl's life because she's in short shorts. And then Neon stands up saying this class is cultural bias because it's not talking about everything. It's just talking about the white stuff. And then he's like, I'm going to talk to my coach. I don't really like this stuff at all, to be honest with you. And then we cut again to see Ed. He's pretty much telling one of his co-workers that there's no way they're getting all these 3 guys, or that these items are just randomly showing up. They're paying off for them essentially to bribe them to come play for their team. And then we see Pete and his ex going out dinner, I believe it is. And some little kid comes over to ask for Pete's autograph, and then another kid comes over to ask for Pete's autograph because apparently things are changing already so quickly. Everyone's so excited. Then we see the team practicing again, and Pete is using like a golf club to kind of make them push harder, I guess. I looked away for 2 seconds, then I looked back and he had a golf club. So then after practice, Butch pulls coach aside and kind of find out Butch is homesick. He's wondering if he leaves school, if his mom's going to lose her new job and house. And Pete's like, I don't know anything as to what you're talking about. I don't have any arrangements for your mom to have a new house and job, so I don't know what you're saying. He's kind of playing dumb because he did go to Happy, but he also doesn't know essentially everything that's happening. So then Pete makes the call to Happy, the dickhead, who's losing his shit on the phone now because Pete mentions that Butch is homesick, and I think Happy hangs the phone up on him, and then Pete's just like that. Butch, he's like, better be at practice on Monday, because if you're not, then your mom's losing everything. Then we find out Happy's name is in the movie because they're at an event, and then Jenny shows up at the event, and then she sees Happy walk by with one of the guys, and then she's like, what's he doing here? And that's when one of the other coaches is like, yeah, he's just, he's part of the organization, part of the group, part of the program, I think is the word that they use. Then Pete loses his shit on Happy because he's like, what the hell are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here, and why the hell are you giving my kids cars? You shouldn't be doing this shit. Because he also gave I think it's Ricky a loaner car for the time being. He's like, I didn't approve for any of this shit. Just stop giving my team, my kids stuff, because I don't want any of this crap. You're just gonna make them blab around town that they're getting free shit, and that's not good for us. And that's when Happy's like, there's no way that anyone can track any of this stuff back to us. We've done enough work. Everything's hidden, and no one's ever gonna know that's us. Then as Happy walks away, Pete calls him a name, I forget, some sort of scumbag name, and Happy gets pissed off, and we find out that Happy had something to do with the point shaving scandal that got Pete into trouble the year before. And then Pete goes back to his office to rewatch the game that Happy mentioned, and they're looking at it and testing out the coaching staff and whatnot, and we slowly see who got paid off in the whole scandal, and we find out it's actually Tony, the best player that they have on their team. He got paid off for that one game to do some point shaving. So Pete runs his room, goes to confront Tony, and that's when he mentions that he took money for the one game, and that's the only time he's ever done it. And of course they start yelling at each other, and Tony keeps saying, you only took the money the one game just to help out his family, and Pete feels insulted because he's always been there for Tony no matter what the situation was, and to find out that Tony's been lying to him the whole time was a lot for him to take. Pete then goes to Jenny, his ex-wife's house, and wakes her up at 10 o'clock at night, and she's not happy with him because she saw Happy at the organization, and she doesn't like Happy at all because for whatever reason he's just a dickhead anyway, so that's a good enough reason not to like him. And she doesn't want him to come around anymore because she can't trust him either, because now it's the same situation but reverse, because that was Pete feeling hurt by Tony, but now it's Jenny feeling hurt by Pete. Then he mentions how Tony was bought out by Happy, and then she's tired of everything and she kicks him out essentially. Then we see it's game time, and Pete is giving his team a pep talk to try and get his team to get the win because he wants them to work really hard. We see them playing the game for once. It seems like they're actually playing a good game and actually slowly starting to win. We also see Neon shine a bit with doing some slam dunks and also just getting some rebounds and whatnot off the backboard, and I think he swats away a couple balls every now and then. And then we see the score is close, but Western Pete's team is now down by 1 at this point, I believe it was. And then Pete starts hearing voices and having doubts in his head about what's going on, hearing Happy's voice and whatnot, and having doubts about, having these guys here because he did the wrong thing by having these guys come in by paying them off, essentially. Then I also forgot that they're also playing the #1 team in the whole nation. Then we see Neon scoring the winning dunk with, I think, 10 seconds left because they were down by, I think, 1. Yeah, it would be 1. And Neon actually scores the last remaining points via dunk, which the game went by really fast, which I thought was shocking. But again, there's more that probably happens. It's just hard to talk about sports that's going on because you don't need to know the guys dribbling down the ball. At one point, I think one of the guys gets hit in the face by a pass, but it's fine. It's no big deal. Then we see Pete making his way into the locker room while the whole team is cheering, but we can see Pete's not happy even though he did just win. He sits down to have a talk with the team. He tells the team how he believes in the rules and that the rules were broken and he can't keep winning if it's going to be like this because he feels horrible about it. So Pete tells the team they played the hell of a game. As he's leaving, Neon asks the coach, how he liked his little spin move, and Pete's like, you did good, kid. You did really good. And then we have the walk of shame as he goes to the press room to have the conference afterwards. I think conference is the right name. Press conference. Everyone's cheering him on, and we see him staring down Ed, and then Ed raises his hand to ask a question relating to the vehicle being given to Neon, and that's when Pete calls over to Happy, who's in the room, and joking, it's a fully loaded Lexus. It's not like some cheap neon car or some Cavalier or something. It's a fine piece of automobile. It's a great vehicle, top of the line. Get your facts straight, okay? It's no normal car, top of the line. Then Pete, didn't some of the other kids take something? Because Neon didn't actually take anything. He was actually just given something. And then he's like, I think Ricky took a bag of cash, and his dad got a new tractor, right, Happy? And then he's like, didn't Butch's mom get a new house and a new job because of you two, Happy? Isn't that something that happened? And then he's like, this is the biggest win that we've had in the last season, and the alumni is just jerking everyone off because they're so happy with each other, and I guess Happy's part of that alumni by the sounds of it. And Happy gets all pissed off and starts going towards the stage. That's when he gets escorted out, and then Pete gives a speech saying his best season was the last season. Even though they lost everything, every single game, the kids gave their hearts out every single game, but them giving their hearts out was never enough to make anyone else happy, because they always wanted more, and the kids were trying their best, but they never got the respect they needed. And at the end, Pete just says he decides to quit the team because he's becoming everything he's hated. He's not happy with it. He's not happy about being related to this whole situation where some of the guys were bought out. Then on the walk home, he watches a bunch of kids playing basketball in the street light at this little basketball court, and he goes over to help the kids, give them a few lessons about shooting the hoop and whatnot. And then we find out that Western was banned for 3 years from playing, and I guess Ricky hurt his knee and went back to the farm to work. And I guess Neon and Butch both dropped out, but now they're playing in the NBA, and now Peach coaches a high school team, and that's the end of the movie essentially. Really fun movie. I wish there was a little bit more to it. It feels like there was a little, the ending wasn't great. It's good, but it just feels like it was a little bit rushed maybe. I think it was fun. I definitely would recommend watching it. I would definitely check it out again. Maybe if I ever do some sports related movies for whatever fucking reason, I don't know why, I might rewatch it again once or twice in the next couple of years, but it's nothing I'm going to be rushing to. But on the Rotten scale out of 10, I would definitely give it a 6 out of 10. I think it's a good solid movie, and yeah, it wasn't too bad. Which brings us to our movie we're going to have to pick for next week. We're going to go back to horror movie because it's been a while since we watched a horror movie, and you guys really deserved for me to go back to the roots and watch a horror movie again. So we're going to have to pick something that I think is going to be good. I think it's going to be fun, and to be honest with you guys, I'm not really 100% sure what that's going to be yet. Alright, after some thinking, I'm going to go pull out one of my box sets, and we're going to watch Leprechaun 2 from 1994, horror comedy for an hour and 25 minutes. It's not a great series by any means, but it's a fun series, so take what you got, I guess. But yeah, we're going to be watching Leprechaun, and yeah, it should be a fun one. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I don't know where it's streaming. Actually, it's streaming on Tubi. But yeah, I got the box set with 6 movies. I don't know how many movies are in Leprechaun. I don't even have the box set in front of me. I know it's somewhere in the pile somewhere. I don't even know why I said pile. The bookcase, bookshelf, DVD shelf, whatever you want to call it. If I don't find it, I'll just pull it up on Tubi and watch the ads every now and then. Highly recommend Tubi. Lots of cool things. Definitely recommend checking that out. You guys would probably enjoy it. But yeah, I usually promote Tubi all the time. I just haven't been using them as often lately. But we've just been trying to watch movies that I own that I just haven't seen ever. Anyways, enough rambling. Thank you guys for checking everything out. If you guys want to keep in touch, find me on all social medias at Typhonstein. Contact the podcast through the Rotten Reviews Podcast at Gmail account. All the links will be down below for all that kind of fun stuff. Check me out on YouTube. Slowly growing that channel. We're over 400 subs now, so that's fun. We've got another new gaming video coming out Wednesday, and we got the older episodes of the podcast going full up on there as well. I have to actually post another one and edit it and whatnot, so all that fun stuff. Also check out the outro band, Blood Opera, Toronto-based horror band. All their links will be down below as well. I've been playing their Candyman song a lot, and I really enjoy it. That's why it's usually the main song that's on the outros for these episodes. I will switch it up every now and then, but that's the main one that usually
comes out, and that's their newest song as well. So definitely check them out. I think you guys will enjoy them. And until next time, I will talk to you guys all later. Peace.
Whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Was it for real this time, or a dream? Was it in my